सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So in the last session, we reflected upon a very important topic of Maya. How much ever we try to understand what this Maya is, we will not be able to understand it completely. Why? Because it is beyond the mind and intellect. It is the cause of mind and intellect, and therefore mind and intellect cannot completely comprehend Maya. Very well-known anecdote is there. This topic of Maya is always very fascinating, and any student of Vedanta gets very fascinated by this Maya. So once it is said that our Gurudev also, Swami Chinmayananji also got very fascinated by this topic of Maya. And in the class, of course, it must have been explained, kept on thinking about it and went to his Guru, Taponji Maharaj, and said that, he used to call his Guru as Gurudev. To say, Gurudev, this Maya I am not able to understand completely. So it seems Taponji Maharaj replied, saying that I have not called you here to understand Maya. I have called you here to understand Brahman, to realize Brahman, to go beyond Maya. That is what is the purpose. So how much we need to understand, that much only we need to put efforts. If we try to think completely what is this Maya and how it works, etc., we'll only get engulfed in that entire subject. Right? So Shankaracharya ji has explained this Maya concept from 3 standpoints. First, from the standpoint of the effects of Maya. Right? From the standpoint of all of us, where we are right now. From the ignorance standpoint, what is that? Avyakta namni, it's called as unmanifest. Paramesha shaktihi, it is the power of the Lord. Anadi avidya, it is the unborn ignorance. Anadi avidya, beginningless ignorance. Trigunātmikā, having the 3 gunas as its nature, or having the 3 gunas. Trigunatmika, sattva, rajas, tamas, three gunas. Para is higher than the entire world, the gross and subtle world that is created. It's higher than that. Karya anumeya, sudhiya eva karya anumeya. Sudhiya eva, by a sharp intellect alone. Karya anumeya, it can be inferred by looking at its effects. So how do you know Maya is Trigunatmika? Looking at the effects, we have inferred that Maya also must have these three gunas. Why? Because the entire world has these three gunas. Now if the entire effect has it, it must have come from its cause. So we have inferred that the cause, Maya also must have these three gunas. Karya anumeya sudhiyaiva. Maya, that is what is called as Maya. The word Maya itself is yama. That which is not there, which appears to be there. Yaya, by which jagat sarvamidam prasuyate, by which this entire world is projected, is created. That is Maya. Okay, so many aspects related to Maya when looked from the standpoint of its effects. Now, if we look at Maya from its own standpoint, then how it is? It is inexplicable. It is inexplicable means what? That it cannot be called Sat or Asat. It cannot be called different from Brahman or same as Brahman. It cannot be called with parts or without parts. That's the meaning of inexplicable. It cannot be explained in such terms. Right? So, next verse, 109 verse. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnapyubhayatmikano, sangapya nangahi ubhayatmikano, mahadbhuta anirvachaniya rupa. This is Maya. What? Sat na, api asat na, ubhayatmika na. It's neither sat, it's neither existence. Why? Because if Maya has to be existence, then it should always be there at all times, in all three periods of times. But no, Maya ends. Maya has an end, and therefore it cannot be called as Sat. Satchet na badhyeta. If it is Sat, then it should not be falsified, but it is falsified by knowledge, by the self-knowledge. So it cannot be called as Sat. Okay, then call it as Asat. Asat chet na pratiyeta. If it is Asat, then it should not appear. But Maya is appearing with all its effects. So it is neither Sat nor Asat. Nor can you say it is a combination of Sat and Asat. Why? Because Sat and Asat cannot have a combination. They are mutually opposite to each other. They cannot combine. So Satna, Asatna, Ubhayatmika na. Bhinna api abhinna api ubhayatmika na. Bhinna na. You cannot say it is different from Brahman. Why? Because there is nothing other than Brahman. Means what? It is not having any different existence other than Brahman. We saw Paramesha in the previous verse. Means what? Its existence is dependent on Brahman. Brahma, what is Maya? We say Brahma Ashraya. That which has support of Brahman. Taking support of Brahman only, it veils Brahman. Very interesting. But that's how it is. So you cannot say it is different from Brahman. Bhinna. You cannot say abhinna. You cannot say it is Brahman. Why? Because it is not Brahman. Maya is not Brahman. Maya is nothing. Brahman is everything. How can you say Maya is Brahman? So abhinna apina. Ubhayatmika you say no. It is combination. What? It is different also and same also. That is not possible. Either it will be different or non-different. That also, Ubhayatmika also not possible. Sa anga api, na anga api, Ubhayatmika na. You cannot say it is sa anga. It has parts. It is with parts. You cannot say. Why? Because if it has parts, then what will happen? Then you should be able to experience it part-wise. Part by part you should be experiencing. Does it have parts? No, it doesn't have parts. It's like a seed, no? Everything is one homogeneous mass of ignorance. It doesn't have parts. Okay, so it doesn't have parts. No, but potentially it has all the parts. Because when that seed germinates, then all the parts come out. The trunk of the tree and the leaves and everything comes out. So potentially it has all the parts, but technically it doesn't have any parts. So bhinna sanga api ananga api ubhayatmika no. Therefore mahadbhuta, it is extremely wondrous, anirvachaniya rupa, and therefore it is termed, it is having nature called inexplicable nature. As we have seen in the last class, Maya is inexplicable. This itself is an explanation of Maya. This point we should never forget. Many times what happens, no, people take this inexplicable literally, and therefore they say that no, it cannot be explained. No, it can be explained, and its explanation is that it cannot be explained in these terms: Sat, Asat, Bhinna, Abhinna, Sanga, Ananga. In that way it cannot be explained. But otherwise it is explained only Avyakta Namni Paramesha Shakti Anadya Vidya. So all explanation only is going on. Right? So that is Maya from its own standpoint. Now, what about the standpoint of Brahman? Next verse. Shabda Advaya Brahma Vibodhanashya Sarpa Brahmaha Rajju Vivekataha Yatha. In one word it is explained. What is that? Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodha Nashya. That which is destroyed, that which ceases to exist by Vibodha, by experience of Brahma, of the Supreme Reality, which is Shuddha, pure, Advaya, non-dual. So Maya is that which is destroyed by the self-knowledge, by the knowledge of that Brahman, of that non-dual pure Brahman being me. By this knowledge, it is Nashya, it is destroyed. Means what? For that Brahman, from the standpoint of Brahman, Maya is not there. Maya is not there. For the rope, there is no delusion, there is no snake. For a person seeing, there is snake. For the snake, there is inexplicable snake. But for the rope, there is no snake. Right? Like what? That is the example that Shankaracharya also has given. Sarpa Brahmaha yatha Rajju Vivekataha. When Rajju Viveka happens, when you clearly understand that it is Rajju, rope, then what? Sarpa Brahmaha. The delusion of snake, yatha nashrati. Just as the delusion of snake, nashrati, it is destroyed. In the same way, Maya is also destroyed when we understand the real substratum of Brahman. That is Maya from standpoint of Brahman. What? It ceases to exist. If we see, Bhagavan Shri Krishna explains this term Maya. I had mentioned earlier also that many people call Shankaracharya ji as the Mayavadi. They say Shankaracharya ji was the one who brought this concept of Maya, which is not true. Shankaracharya ji's job was to explain Vedanta. So Vedanta is Upanishad. Whatever is there in the Upanishad, he will explain. Right? So Maya concept is there in the Upanishads also. Maya vif pururupo iyate. Indro Maya vif pururupo iyate. Is there in the Upanishads itself. So Vedas have this concept of Maya. Bhagavad Gita also has the concept of Maya. If we see 7th chapter, etc., Bhagavan explains, Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Daivi. What is Daivi? Paramesha Shakti. Daivihi esha gunamayi triguణātmika. See, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya. Mama maya means the one who has got support of Brahman. Mama maya, based on Brahman. Duratyaya is difficult to cross. Mahadbhuta, nirvachaniya rupa. That's why it is difficult to cross. Because we don't understand only how will you cross. First you should be able to know or understand, then only you will be able to cross, isn't it? Mahadbhuta. So, mama maya duratyaya. Agreed. But what? Mameva ye prapadyante. Those who take recourse to me, maya metam tarantite. They cross over this maya. Now, there Bhagavan is talking from Ishvara standpoint. The one who surrenders unto Bhagavan, maya doesn't do anything. Like it is like, dog. Dog is there at some people's house, no? So outside there will be a board. Beware of dogs. Have you seen? Many people have. Now if you go to their house, then the dog will come here immediately, come and wow, immediately. But then the owner of the house comes and says, hey, shh, come, now nothing, now I have come, no, now dog will not. And you go and you sit near that owner, then what? Then the dog doesn't do anything to you. Why? Because no owner is there. When owner is there, the dog immediately goes behind the owner and keeps rotating around his leg or around wherever he is sitting. That is what Maya is. When Bhagavan is there and you surrender unto Bhagavan, Maya doesn't do anything to you. If you try to be cheeky and not surrender to Bhagavan, then Maya will eat you up. Will not leave you. That is how Maya is. Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Now Shankaracharya takes us to the next topic and he says, rajas tamas sattvamiti prasiddhaha gunaha tadiyaha prathitaihi swakaryehi. There are three gunas, we said triguṇātmika, Maya is. Tadiyaha. These are its, tadiyaha, its gunas, three gunas. Which are they? Rajas, tamas, sattvam. Rajas, tamas and sattvam. These are the three gunas. Prathitaihi swakaryehi prasiddhaha. And they are well known and named. Prathita. By swakarya, by their own functions, they are named like that. Means what? Rajas is named Rajas because of what it does. Sattva is named Sattva because of what it does. And Tamas is named Tamas because of what it does. Right? So now Shankaracharya is going to explain to us this Rajoguna, Sattva-guna and Tamoguna. Actually Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattva-guna. Rajas, Tamas, Sattvam. Sorry. So Rajas, Tamas, Sattvam. In this order only he will explain. That's how he has mentioned also in this verse. So that is how he explains now. But before we go there, we have understood just basic understanding or word to word, simple word meaning of these three. Guna means color, or guna actually means thread. Guna means rope, small thread is there, no? That which binds. Guna is that which binds. Okay, here also that is the meaning. The thread that binds. Okay. What are the three types of gunas? So we say Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Here of course Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, this is the order, but let us understand. Sattva means what? The word Sattva itself means good. Good. Goodness, Sattva. Sat means good, Sattva, goodness. Rajas, literally Rajas means dirt. Rajas. Rajas means dirt. Right? Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamanu Mukur Rasudhari. Isn't it? Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. The dust of the lotus feet of Guru. With that, Nijamanu Mukur Rasudhari. May I clean my mind. What is that? The mirror of my mind I am cleaning. What is this Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja? Beginning of Hanuman Chalisa. So there also that word Raja is there. You see, Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. Raja means dirt. With the dirt of the lotus feet of my Guru, I clean the mirror of my mind. Right? So Raja means dirt. Tamas means darkness, andhakara. This is the literal meaning. But in Vedanta, these are technical terms. So guna will have different meaning in each Shastra. That also we have seen in the last session, isn't it? In Ayurveda Shastra, guna has different meaning. In Vyakarana Shastra, it has different meaning. In Vedanta Shastra, guna means these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, those color of mind which bind us. So sattva guna, when it is said sattva guna, two words should come to our mind immediately. What are they? Knowledge and purity. Sattva guna means knowledge and purity. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. First thing that sattva shows, demonstrates is knowledge. Sattva, when it is said, knowledge and purity. Rajoguna, when it is said, rajoguna. Again, two words should come to mind. Impurity and agitation. Impurity and agitation. And tamoguna, when it is said, again two words will come to our mind. Ignorance and laziness. Ignorance and laziness. Now, carefully see what all these three gunas are opposed to each other. Carefully see, okay? Sattva guna we said knowledge and purity. Right? Rajoguna we said impurity. This impurity is opposed to purity. So one aspect of Rajoguna is opposed to one aspect of Sattva. And with impurity, Rajoguna is agitation. Isn't it? Too many things you want to do. Now that is opposed by one quality of Tamoguna, which is laziness. Don't want to do anything. Agitation means too many activities. Laziness means no activity. And Tamoguna, another aspect is ignorance, which is opposed by Sattva, knowledge. So Sattva, knowledge aspect is opposed to Tamoguna, purity aspect is opposed to Rajoguna. Rajoguna's one aspect of impurity is opposed to Sattva, another aspect of agitation is opposed to Tamoguna. Similarly, Tamoguna's one aspect of ignorance is opposed to Sattva, and another aspect of laziness is opposed to agitations, action of Rajoguna. So like this, if we see, three of them are opposed to each other. And we will also see that this Rajoguna is in between Sattva and Tamas, isn't it? So it supports anyone depending on how you are feeding it. If Tamas is predominant, it will support Tamas. If Sattva is predominant, it will support Sattva also. Means what? You see, when selfishness, etc., these are the qualities when Rajas is towards Tamas side, towards the side of Tamas. Now same Rajas, lot of activity, lot of passion to do things. When it becomes selfless, it comes to the side of Sattva. And such a person also you will see acting continuously. Isn't it? So that Rajas is in between. Depending on how we shift it in our sadhana, it takes its shape. That is how it is. So now, in next 9 verses, Shankaracharya explains these 3 gunas. Let us read. First, in 2 verses, he explains Rajas, Rajoguna. Let us go one by one. Verse number 111, 111. vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ kriyātmikā.
vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ kriyātmikā.
yataḥ pravṛttiḥ prasṛtā purāṇī.
yataḥ pravṛttiḥ prasṛtā purāṇī.
rāgādayo'syāḥ prabhavanti nityaṃ
rāgādayo'syāḥ prabhavanti nityaṃ
duḥkhādayo ye manaso vikārāḥ
duḥkhādayo manaso vikārāḥ
vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ kriyātmikā yataḥ pravṛttiḥ prasṛtā purāṇī rāgādayo'syāḥ prabhavanti nityaṃ duḥkhādayo ye manaso vikārāḥ vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ kriyātmikā. You will see that vikṣepaśaktī dirgha is there in the book, but that is because of sandhi rule. The next word starts with ra. So vikṣepaśaktī, that visarga is dropped and the previous letter becomes dirgha. Some sandhi sutras are there. Rori, because of that rori, that visarga is dropped. And what is that? Dralopo purvasya dirghuna. One sutra is there, because of which the previous letter, previous vowel becomes dirgha. Dralope purvasya dirghuna. So because of that, vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ. But actually, how, if you want to separate two words, vikṣepaśaktī rajasaḥ. Vikṣepaśaktī means what? Projecting power. Rajasaḥ, of the rajas. Projecting power of this rajas. See, actually, rajas is, sattva, rajas, tamas are gunas of maya. So when it is said, this projecting power of the rajas means projecting power of maya. There is no difference. Others don't immediately start, what is this projecting power is supposed to be of maya? Maya and sattva, rajas, tamas are same only, no? We said trigunatmika. So vikṣepaśaktī, projecting power, rajasaḥ, of this rajas, kriyātmikā, is of the nature of activity. Kriyātmikā. So when rajas is said, activity. Agitation means what? Activity. Isn't it? So that is the insignia of rajas. Activity. It is of the nature of activity. Yataḥ, from which pravṛttiḥ, purāṇī pravṛttiḥ prasṛtā. Prasṛtā is born. What? Purāṇī pravṛttiḥ, initial activity. Purāṇī, initial. Pravṛttiḥ, activity. What is this initial activity? The action of creation. The first action of creation is born from this vikṣepaśaktī of rajas. Means what? It is because of this rajoguna that the creation starts. See, sattva guna will not give rise to creation. Why? Because sattva is knowledge, purity, calmness. It will not give rise to creation. Rajas, activity, gives rise to creation. We don't have to go too back and understand that. You see, in our own life also we can see. Any new thing we start, new project we take up, or new business we want to set up, or we want to expand our business. These thoughts come from where? From the thought of action. You must have seen, no, such people, they can't sit. You tell them, just sit for some time. No, what is there to sit? Let us do something. No, we are here. How many days? Even if you take them for trip, etc., no, already you are roaming. Even if you are roaming, you go to a place and you ask, first question they will ask is, how long we are here? We are here till afternoon. So we don't have anything in afternoon, no? Let us go and watch this. You are already roaming. No. Let us start something. They start something. Creation starts. Why? Activity. Can't sit. Something. So this vikṣepaśaktī, projecting power of this rajas is kriyātmikā, is of the nature of activity. And from this rajas, from this vikṣepaśaktī alone, the initial activity of creation has begun. It is started. Right? So on the samashti level, that is the effect of rajas. What? That it is the cause for the creation, it begins the creation, and entire creation, even the activities in the creation are because of this rajas. Now, on the individual level, samashti level, totality level, okay, creation. Individual level, what is its role? rāgādayo'syāḥ prabhavanti. Asyaha, from this rajas, from this vikṣepaśaktī of rajas, rāgādayo'syāḥ. Raga means attachment. Ādayo'syāḥ, etc. Raga also means anuraga, likes, dislikes, no, rāgadvesha, etc. All these, ye manasah vikārāḥ, which are modifications of the mind. What kind of modifications? Duḥkhādayo, sorrow, etc. Nityaṃ prabhavanti. They are produced continuously by this rajas. So on vyashti level, on individual level, what is this rajas doing? Continuously producing all these modifications of mind, agitations of mind. Rāgādayo'syāḥ means what? Raga, dvesha, kāma, krodho, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Duḥkhādayo, sukha, dukkha, mana, apamana, all these things. Whatever thoughts, feelings we have, all of them are created by this rajas, by this projecting power of rajas. So on samashti level, totality level, it starts the creation. On individual level, it creates all these agitations of the mind. Right? What are these agitations? Now, in the next verse, the agitations are enumerated. Okay? Next. kāmaḥ, krodho, lobhadambhādyasūyā.
kāmaḥ, krodho, lobhadambhādyasūyā.
ahaṃkārerṣyāmatsarādyāstu ghorāḥ.
ahaṃkārerṣyāmatsarādyāstu ghorāḥ.
dharmā ete rajasaḥ pumpravṛttiḥ.
dharmā ete rajasaḥ pumpravṛttiḥ.
yasmādeṣā tadrajo bandhahetuh.
yasmādeṣā tadrajo bandhahetuh.
kāmaḥ, krodho, lobhadambhādyasūyā. ahaṃkārerṣyāmatsarādyāstu ghorāḥ. dharmā ete rajasaḥ pumpravṛttiḥ. yasmādeṣā tadrajo bandhahetuh. Shankaracharya says, I will drop my meter. Why? Because there are so many modifications that it creates, it cannot come in meter. So he goes away from the metrical stand and just puts, what is this? Kāmaḥ. Kāmaḥ, desire. Sometimes kāma is also translated as lust, but not necessary. Okay, kāma means desire. Kāma, Sanskrit meaning is desire. It can mean lust also, but in the common sense, general sense, kāma means desire. Kāmaḥ, desire. Krodho, anger. Anger. We know it very well. Lobha, greed. Dambha, hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means what? To show what is not there, or to hide what is there. Both ways. Hypocrisy. Adi. Dambhādyasūyā. Asūya means spite. Finding faults with others. Asuya. Anasuya. Remember Anasuya? Atri Anasuya. Anasuya means the one who has no Asuya. Here Asuya. Asuya means finding faults with others. Ahaṃkāra. Ahaṃkāra means ego or pride. Ahaṃkāra. Īrṣya. Īrṣya, jealousy. Īrṣya, jealousy. Matsara. Matsara adyaha. Matsara means what? Matsara, hatred. Envy, hatred. Matsara. Adyaha tu ghorāḥ. Ghorāḥ means these are the dreadful. Indeed, tu means indeed here. They are indeed dreadful. Who are they? Dharmāha ete. Ete dharmāha. These characteristics, attributes, rajasaḥ, are of rajas. They are called as rajasaḥ. Rajasaḥ belonging to rajas. Ete dharmāha rajasaḥ. Yasmādeṣā pumpravṛttiḥ. Yasmāt, from which? From them or from this rajas. Esha, this pumpravṛttiḥ. Pumpravṛttiḥ. Pum means being, human being. Pravṛttiḥ means action, activity, tendency. From that rajas is born this tendency of human being. What tendency? Of action. That I want to continuously do something. And that's why even if physically we cannot do anything, still our mind keeps on having all these thoughts. Yes or no? You are tired after whole day's work. So you retire to your bed and relax there. But has the mind relaxed? Why? Mind brings all these things. Today that person said like this. Why? That person is always like this, all the time talking against me. I hate that person. How dare it speak to me like this? I wish today, today was not Sunday. Why? Because it is over. Today should have been Saturday. Why? And tomorrow again Sunday. Holiday. Desire, anger, jealousy, hatred. And if we reflect, all our actions are backed by all these things. Think about it. The very fact that you are sitting in the class is also backed by one of these. What is that? Desire. See, desire can be positive, negative, no? There is a desire to study Vivekachoodamani. There is a desire to do something in spiritual path. So if we see, that's why I said rajas is in between. It can be taken to support sattva also, it can be taken to support tamas also, but it is there. It is the one which is creating all these things. So, esha pumpravṛttiḥ, this tendency of a human being, of activity, yasmāt, has come from this. Tat rajah, that rajas, bandha hetuhu, is the cause of bondage. What bondage? It is the cause of bondage of action. It is this rajas which causes our bondage of action. Why? Because desire is there, then to fulfill that desire we act, then that action creates more desires, then we act more, then more desires, and it goes on and on and on. Right? This is rajas. So in short, rajas is what? On the level of samashti, on the totality level, it creates the entire world. Or it supports the creation of the entire world, if you want to say. And on individual level, what is it? It creates all these different modifications, agitations of the mind. That's what it does. Alright. Okay. What is tamoguna? Now the tamoguna description begins. Next 4 verses. Let us go one by one. Verse number 113. एषा वृत्तिर्नाम तमो गुणस्य
एषा वृत्तिर्नाम तमो गुणस्य
शक्तिर्यया वस्त्ववभासतेऽन्यथा
शक्तिर्यया vastvavabhāsate'nyathā
सैषा निदानं पुरुषस्य संसृतेः
सैषा निदानं पुरुषस्य संसृतेः
विक्षेपशक्तेः प्रवणस्य हेतुः
विक्षेपशक्ते प्रवणस्य हेतुः
एषा वृत्तिर्नाम तमो गुणस्य शक्तिर्यया वस्त्ववभासतेऽन्यथा सैषा निदानं पुरुषस्य संसृतेः विक्षेपशक्तेः प्रवणस्य हेतुः. एषा this आवृत्तिः नाम. This is named Avritihi. Avritihi, veiling. What was rajas? Vikṣepaśaktīh rajasāḥ. Isn't it? Rajasaḥ, of this rajas, vikṣepa, projection was its power. Now what is the power of this tamas? Esha avritihi nama, veiling. Tamo gunasya shaktihi. That is the power of tamoguna. What is that? To veil. To veil. To cover. To hide. Esha avritihi nama. It is named veiling. This veiling is the power of tamoguna. Yaya, by which vastu avabhāsate anyatha. Vastu. Here vastu can have two meanings. Vastu means that reality, that supreme reality. Anyatha avabhāsate. Avabhāsate appears. Anyatha, differently. So that by which vastu, the supreme reality, appears differently. Means what? It is because of this veiling that vastu is not seen as vastu. The supreme reality is not seen as supreme reality, but is seen as something else. As the jiva or as the world. Or vastu in common parlance. Vastu means any object. Any object is called as vastu in Sanskrit common language. So anything because of this veiling appears to be something else. Anyatha avabhāsate. It appears differently. Means what? See, on the supreme reality level, this tamoguna is doing what? It is covering the nature of that supreme reality. It is covering, it is veiling that nature. And therefore, because of that, now that supreme reality starts to appear like jiva, the individual. I don't know who I am. My nature is veiled from me. And therefore, I consider myself to be individual. One who is born, one who is going through sorrow, one who will have another birth, etc. So, tamogunasya shaktihi yaya vastu anyatha avabhāsate. That by which the supreme reality appears differently. Or, you take simple meaning, avarana shakti of tamoguna. Tamoguna is darkness. Any object appears differently. Means what? Because of tamoguna, if I have tamoguna a lot, then anything I don't see as it is. First thing what will happen? I won't even want to see it. Why? Laziness is there. And even if I want to and I try to, I will see it as something else. That is how this avarana shakti works. That is how the tamas works. We will see in the next verse also, it will further explain. Sa esha, sa means that, esha means this. That this tamogunasya shakti, avriti shakti, purushasya samsritehe nidanam. Nidanam, it is the cause. It is the cause of samsritehe, cause of samsara. For whom? Purushasya, for a human being. This is the cause of samsara. So, samsara is rajas. But cause of that samsara is tamas. Avriti. Avarana. Not seeing the reality. Vikṣepaśaktehe pravanasya hetuhu. This tamas, this avarana shakti also is cause of pravana. Pravana means action. Pravanasya hetuhu, cause of action. Action of what? Vikṣepaśaktehe. Action of this projecting power. Means what? Tamas is the cause of samsara and tamas is the cause of rajas also, which is projecting power. Vikṣepaśaktī form of rajas. Cause is what? Cause is this avarana shakti, this veiling power. Right? So avritihi avaranam. So what happens first? First, the self, the supreme reality is covered. Gurudev would say non-apprehension. Now the moment it is covered, it appears to be something else, misapprehension. In other words, ignorance, delusion. Non-apprehension, misapprehension. Non-apprehension means it is covered, it is ignorance. I don't know. And then what? Because I don't know, I consider it to be something else, misapprehension. Are you getting it? This is the power of tamas. So actually non-apprehension, misapprehension both are because of tamas. Now that misapprehension results in variety of activities, projection, etc. That is the power of rajas. That is the power of rajas. And later on we will see sattva does what? Apprehension. It removes this misapprehension and non-apprehension. And you are able to see the truth as it is. That's the power of sattva. So all three gunas we are seeing along with what is their power. Rajas, what is the power? Totality level, it creates everything. Individual level, it creates these agitations, modifications of mind. Okay, tamas, what is the power? Power of veiling. Not only veiling, but to show that reality as something else. And this tamas, this avarana shakti is the cause of samsara and it is also cause of vikṣepaśaktī, of rajas. So tamas creates rajas. Let it create. Swamiji, I am not scared. Very good. Next verse Shankaracharya says, even if you are very learned and wise, once you come under this tamas, no, it will take you for a ride. Let us read. Verse number 114. Prajñāvānapi paṇḍito'pi caturo'py atyantasūkṣmātmadṛg vyālīḍhastamasa na vetti bahudha saṃbodhito'pi sphutam भ्रान्त्यारोपितमेव साधु कलयति आलम्बते तद्गुणान् हन्तासौ प्रबलादुरन्ततमसः शक्तिर्महत्यावृतिः प्रज्ञावानपि पण्डितोऽपि चतुरोऽप्यत्यन्तसूक्ष्मार्थदृक् व्यालीढस्तमसा न वेत्ति बहुधा सम्बोधितोऽपि स्फुटम् भ्रान्त्यारोपितमेव साधु कलयत्यालम्बते तद्गुणान् हन्तासौ प्रबलादुरन्ततमसः शक्तिर्महत्यावृतिः. Prajñāvānapi. Even if you are prajnavan, prajnavan means one who has got prajna, prajna means wisdom. So even if you are a wise person, panditaha api, even if you are a learned person, panda, knowledge, yasya asti, saha panditaha. Panditaha api, even if you are a learned person, you are wise, you are learned. Caturo'pyatyantasūkṣmātmadṛg, chaturaha api, even if you are very clever. Atyantasūkṣmātmadṛg, that api we have to add. Even if you are dhruk means one who sees. One who sees what? Atyanta sukshma artha. Atyanta extremely. Sukshma subtle. Artha meaning. Even if you are able to see extremely subtle meaning of the scriptures, you are very critical person. Means what? One who understands very critically. Very logical and very very intelligent. Even if you are vyalidha tamasa, when overpowered by tamas, na vetti. Such a person also who is wise, learned, clever, who is adept in understanding extremely subtle meaning also, na vetti. It doesn't understand anything. When vyalidha, when overpowered by what? Tamasa, by tamas. When overpowered by tamas, the person doesn't understand anything. How bahudha sphutam saṃbodhitaha api. Even when bahudha, in many ways, sphutam, clearly, saṃbodhitaha, taught. Even when taught clearly in many ways, the person doesn't understand. Why? See, not because he is not prajnavan, not because he is not wise, not because he doesn't have brain. He has brain. No, but he is not smart. Chatura, he is smart also. No, but he doesn't have that critical mind. He has. Atyantasūkṣmātmadṛg. But when overpowered by tamas, even such a person doesn't understand anything, even when it is told clearly in many ways. Person doesn't understand. Often people ask you, how to understand whether I have tamas or not? Simple. How many times in a day you say How many times you count? Because this is tamas. Somebody says something, you say this is tamas. Why? Because the person said, you did not hear. This is tamas. What, family, what? That is tamas. Bahudha sphutam saṃbodhita api na vetti. Doesn't understand. And when you don't understand, what will happen? You will understand something else. Isn't it? vastvavabhāsate'nyathā. That is also because of tamas. When you don't understand correctly, then you will misunderstand it. Right? Vyalidha tamasa vyalidha. When overpowered by tamas, even a wise, learned, clever person who is able to understand the deep and subtle meaning of the scriptures also doesn't understand anything. Even after having taught so many times in different ways, the person doesn't understand. Okay, and what does it do? Okay, you don't understand. Does it stop there? No. Bhrantya āropitam. That which is āropita, superimposed. Bhrantya, by delusion. So that which is not the truth. Truth you have not understood because you are overpowered by tamas. Now that which is superimposed on the truth, which is not real, the unreal thing that is superimposed, eva sadhu, that alone is considered real. Kalayati. That's what he thinks as real. Sadhu kalayati. Bhrantya āropitam eva sadhu kalayati. That which is not real, the unreal thing that is superimposed, that superimposed thing is considered to be real. And then what? Tad gunan alambate. Then he gets attached to all its qualities. So first thing, because one is overpowered by tamas, one doesn't see reality as it is. First thing that happens. Second thing, because the truth or the reality is not seen, something that is unreal, which is superimposed on the reality, is considered to be real. Second thing. And third thing, that unreal thing that you are considering to be real, you get attached to that unreal. That is what has happened. You get attached means we get attached. All of us included. That is what happens. Shankaracharya says, oh ho ho, hanta, he is crying. Hanta, alas, what? Asau shaktihi. Asau means this. Asau duranta tamasaha prabala shaktihi mahati avriti. He says, duranta tamasa, of this dangerous, dire tamas, prabala shaktihi, strong power. Mahati is great. Avriti is great wailing. Means what? Even it wails the wise and learned people. Don't we have so many stories in the Puranas explaining this point? Often we don't understand the importance of those stories, significance of those stories. If you see Krishna Avatara and Krishna Leelas from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll see that Brahmaji got deluded, thinking that the whole thing is happening because of him. So what did he do? He kidnapped Gopas, etc. Have you heard this story? Gopas and Bhagavan Shri Krishna was a small child. So he used to go with all his friends and take all the calves. Because cows will go with the elder, his father, etc. So cows, etc. he used to take for grazing. So they were all sitting on the Yamuna, on the bank of Yamuna river, and they were eating. And one person started to, vanish. Bhagavan understood, Krishna understood that there is some game that is being played. So what Brahmaji did was, he took all these calves and all the Gopas and kept them in one, hidden in one cave. And after 1 year on earth, he looked again. For Brahmaji, that is only one nimishan, one second. So after doing this, he looked down. There was no change. All the Gopas were in their own homes, now grown also by 1 year. All the calves were there in their own places. Now he didn't understand. He says, what is this? I took all of them, but how everything is there? Then he went there and he saw that all the Gopas were nothing but Krishna. It is said in Bhagavatam, even the clothes that they were wearing was Krishna. And the stick that they have, there is one Krishna there. So all the Balagopals, all of them, Shri Krishna only took form of all of them. And it is said that in that 1 year, what happened was that all the Gopikas felt so much love towards their children that they never felt. All these years they were raising the children, they never felt that much love. Suddenly in 1 year, what has happened? They don't know why, because it was Krishna. How can they not love? Now what? Did Brahmaji not know that Shri Krishna is avatar of Vishnu? Of course he knew. He only went and prayed to Vishnu Bhagavan saying that you please take avatar. And that's how Bhagavan has taken avatar. Vyalidas tamasa. See, that doesn't mean that, oh, what is this? Brahmaji also got over. No. It is to show how strong is this tamas. It is not to show how Brahmaji also is like human being. That is not the point. That story is not said for that. The story is to show how powerful is this Maya, you see. Indra got this suddenly, that everything is happening because of me. Who is this Krishna? Who is this Krishna who is allowing everybody and instigating everybody to worship Govardhana? Supposed to be my puja. Then what? He made the entire earth rained so hard and for continuously for days together and nights, and it continuously rained. Then he thought all these people will now learn. Nothing happened to them. Why? Sri Krishna was with them. He lifted the entire Govardhana and everybody was under it. Nothing happened. Rain came and rain went. Then Indra understood, it's happening because of him only. Unnecessarily I am getting this. Vyalidastamasa. So prajñāvānapi, paṇḍitahapi, chaturahapi, atyanta sūkṣmātmadṛg api. Even then, when overpowered by tamas, na vetti. Achha, forget about all these things. Simple thing. Even a great scholar, when sleepy, will that person understand anything? Tamas, overpowered by tamas can also mean overpowered by sleep. Not necessarily overpowered by ignorance. When overpowered by sleep, can you understand? You also are very knowledgeable person, no? Studied how many verses of Vivekachoodamani, my God. And other things are also you are studying and you know this, that, etc. When overpowered by tamas, can you tell anything? Two only things you can say. Why? Overpowered by tamas, na vetti. And at that time, suppose somebody says, don't sleep, listen to me carefully. Nothing. Bahudha sphutam saṃbodhito'pi na vetti. Doesn't understand. That is how it is. Prabala duranta tamasah shakti. This is very strong power of this tamas. Right? So, please understand that each one has that genius, has that intelligence in each one of us. But it is covered. It's covered by tamas. How fast we can remove that tamas, that intelligence, that brilliance will come out. How to remove that? By sattva. By sattva, tackle the tamas. And take that rajas towards sattva's side, so that it will help you to remove tamas. That is how it is. Okay. Now, let us read the next verse also. Abhavana va viparita bhavana.
Abhavana va viparita bhavana.
Asambhavana vipratipattirasyāḥ.
Asambhavana vipratipattirasyāḥ.
Samsargayuktam na vimunchati dhruvam.
Samsargayuktam na vimunchati dhruvam.
Vikṣepaśaktī kṣapayatyajaśram.
Vikṣepaśaktī kṣapayatyajaśram.
Abhavana va viparita bhavana. Asambhavana vipratipattirasyāḥ. Samsargayuktam na vimunchati dhruvam. Vikṣepaśaktī kṣapayatyajaśram. Asyaha, last word of the first line. Vipratipattihi asyaha. Of this veiling, of this tamas, these are the effects. What are the effects? Abhavana. Abhavana, absence of knowledge. Abhavana, absence of knowledge. Viparita bhavana, contrary understanding, contrary knowledge. Viparita. So actually this abhavana and viparita bhavana are non-apprehension and misapprehension. Abhavana and viparita bhavana. Asambhavana. Asambhavana means what? Lack of definite understanding or definite conviction. We are confused. Determination has not happened or conclusion has not happened. We are still wavering. Vipratipattihi. Vipratipattihi means lots of doubts. Lots of doubts. These are the effects of tamas. Abhavana, viparita bhavana, asambhavana, vipratipattihi. Now, those who have studied Vedanta, we always say, abhavana is removed by shravana. By shravana. Remember shravana, manana, nidyaṃ, the threefold path of knowledge, jnana yoga. So, shravana removes abhavana. Asambhavana and vipratipatti. Vipratipatti is along with asambhavana. That is removed by manana. And viparita bhavana is removed by nididhyasana. Right? So these are the effects of tamas. What? I either don't understand, or I misunderstand, or I partially understand, not confirmed, and I have got lot of doubts. So the understanding is not clear. This is what happens because of tamas. But interestingly, all these effects are hidden. We don't know that we have all these problems. See, tamas, what it does, it covers even these. And therefore, we think that we have understood. That's the power of tamas. This tamas is there, it hides other things, and it itself also remains hidden. And therefore, we don't realize that these are there with us. Okay, but how do we know that these are there with us? It acts through rajas. Samsarga yuktam, to the one who is connected with all these things, samsarga yuktam, dhruvam, certainly na vimunchati. It does not vimunchati, it does not leave that person. What does not leave? Vikṣepaśaktī. The projecting power doesn't leave this person. Means what? Ajasram kshapayati. It gives endless troubles. Ajasram means endless. See, vikṣepaśaktī is giving me trouble. Why? Because this avarana shakti has created all these things in me, which I don't know. See, it is exactly like in our body, there is some virus which has entered. And that virus is creating so many health issues. Now, first you will only notice health issues. You won't know what is the cause of these health issues. For that, you have to run all the checks and what we call tests and everything, checkups and everything you have to do. Then you will find that there is some. But you see, for that you have to go to doctor. Sitting at home, you will only see its effects. And you will try to manage on that level. You don't know that there is some cause behind it which is creating all these things. Similarly, in our life also, this tamas creates all these things, abhavana, asambhavana, viparita bhavana, vipratipatti, but they are all hidden. Only endless sorrows that are caused by this vikṣepaśaktī, they are on our forefront. We can see them. But then when we go to the doctor, who is the doctor? Guru. When we come in a contact of a noble person, then what happens? Then we start to understand that, all these things are because of these hidden things. Why do I have anger issue? Because I don't know what is reality. Why am I attached to all these things which are useless actually? They are useless. When do you realize? When you are in satsang. See? So tamas remains dormant but creates havoc using rajas, using that vikṣepaśaktī. And in satsanga what happens? That veiling of tamas is gone. It was hiding behind rajas and shooting. Now it is front. It comes in front of us. Now it cannot run away. In satsanga we realize that all these problems that we have caused is because of my own tamas. You think of any problem, it's because of our own tamas. Tamas or rajas, same only. Tamas only has become rajas. Now, okay. So, do you mean to say that you cannot see tamas at all? No, now you can see. Now that you have come to satsanga and you have understood that there is this tamas hiding behind and attacking, now you see these things. These are the effects, or these are the, what we say, phases of tamas. What are they? Next verse. Let us see. Verse number 116. Ajñānamalasya jadatva nidrā.
Ajñānamalasya jadatva nidrā.
Pramāda mūಢatva mukhāstamo gunāha. एतैः प्रयुक्तो न हि वेत्ति किञ्चित् निद्रालुवत्स्तम्भवदेव तिष्ठति अज्ञानमालस्य जडत्वनिद्रा प्रमादमूढत्वमुखास्तमो गुणाः एतैः प्रयुक्तो न हि वेत्ति किञ्चित् निद्रालुवत्स्तम्भवदेव तिष्ठति. अज्ञानम, ignorance. आलस्य, आलस्य laziness. आलस्य. जड़त्व, dullness. जड़त्व, dullness. निद्रा, sleep. प्रमाद, प्रमाद, carelessness, inadvertence, forgetfulness. These are the meaning of pramada. Moodhatva, moodhatva, foolishness, stupidity. Mukhaha, these are the faces, tamoguna, these are the faces of tamoguna, tamas. This is the nature of tamas. What are they? Ignorance, laziness, dullness, sleep, inadvertence, stupidity. So whenever you recognize any one of this in you, understand that it is tamas, not in others. Don't go on finding, Swamiji, you are going to sleep now? Tamas, tamas. Hey, you are so stupid, tamas. Don't. Vedanta is not to judge others. Vedanta is to find, shortcomings in oneself and correct. So when we find these things in oneself, that we don't understand things or we are ignorant about things, dull, we are all the time dull, alasya, lazy, pramada, careless, nothing, one thing also you can't keep from one place to another place properly. Something you will do. It will either hit something or will fall on something or dress on something. Carelessness. Or sleep, all the time sleepy. Or moodhatva, foolish. Understanding everything also will do stupid mistakes. All these are tamogunaha mukhaha. These are the faces of tamas. And etaihi prayuktaha, one who is tied by this, by all these, what happens? Nahi vetti kinchita. He doesn't understand anything. Kinchidapi na vetti. Nidraluvat stambhavadeva tishtati. He stays. The person stays. How? Nidraluvat. As though one is asleep. How that person who is asleep will remain there? You are talking to a person who is sleeping. What will happen? You will not get any response. Like that, one remains in ignorance. Means what? To something that is important, that spiritual life, to the knowledge of the self which is essential, the person remains as though asleep. Doesn't even understand that there is something higher. Doesn't realize that there is something that is my real nature. He remains like a person asleep. Or stambhavat eva. Or like a stamba. Like a what? Stamba means stump of wood. Stamba. Pole. Or we say no, like a statue. Without any reaction. Why? Overpowered by tamas. So this is what is tamoguna. So Bhagavan has explained to us rajoguna and tamoguna. Now he says, now let me explain sattvaguna. When? Next week. We will continue in the next session. Next 3 verses will be on sattvaguna. Let us see tomorrow. Let us see next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.